Good evening. We are so glad to have you here for the show. I have outstanding guests this evening. First, though, I want to introduce our first guest, and that's Ginger Simpson. She's the Nye County Public Administrator. Now, I know some of you are asking the question, what's a public administrator, and what does she do? And what does that do for Nye County? Well, I want to let you know how important it is. It is extremely important that you understand the responsibilities of the public administrator, not only to our community, but to your families. If you live anywhere in Nye County, you need to understand exactly what she does and how she does it. So Ginger, I want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, a lot of people may not know who you are. So how long have you been here, and how did you get this job? And just talk to us.
So the crazy thing is I'm actually a Pahrump native.
Oh.
So my grandparents moved here in 1962.
Beautiful.
If you remember, when did we get power? 1965. So my mother graduated from Shoshone High School.
Okay.
Because there was no school in Pahrump.
That's correct.
So a bus would come over from Shoshone, take the kids and take them to Shoshone.
In California.
In California. I actually went to kindergarten at Tacoma St. Francis. So I am actually a true native of Pahrump.
Oh, beautiful. Okay.
So I've worked in several different positions in Pahrump. I've run businesses, all kinds of things, and I volunteered as a deputy to the public administrator in 2015.
Okay.
And then I also ran a nonprofit, which is how I originally had met you, through that nonprofit. And when the public administrator quit and left, the commissioners asked me to take over her position and finish her role. So I had to finish out her term, and then I decided to run. Said, well, if the community keeps voting me through, then I'll keep doing it.
Okay.
If you go
so
somebody else,
is,
then that's you
so,
get who that is.
So this is an elected position.
It is. This is an elected position. Politics has not been my forte, so that has been a new thing to get used to. But yeah, it is an elected position. It's a 4-year term. And so I won that first one, and then I did another 4, and I just ran again, and I won that one as well, so I'm on that one. So I've been doing this as the public administrator since 2016.
That is fantastic. And you know, because I've heard some things about the public administrator, and you mentioned the fact that the previous person left and you took over the responsibility, there was a lot of negative talk about the office and things that were happening. How did you fix that?
So a lot of it, and it's still out there. There are still people that don't understand, and most people that are from here will know the name Red Dyer, and that's kind of where it started. So Red Dyer and his wife are the public administrators years and years and years ago. I want to say like 20 years. The things that they did of taking people's things, stealing their money, not working with family. I mean, that happened. I can't say it didn't, because it did. He went to prison. She also went out of the country, and then she passed. So it did happen. I can't say that it didn't. It did. All I can say is it doesn't happen now.
Fantastic.
So in that time and all that negativity, which, you know, a bad thing can carry for a long time, and it takes 100 good to replace that bad that people focus on. So I just work consistently on clarifying. A lot of it is education and knowledge. There's this stigma of, oh, when you die, the state's going to come take your stuff. That's the stigma everybody has heard. Surprise, this is the state regulation type company, organization, whatever, they're different in each county. That's what they're referring to, but that's not what happens. So the public administrator's role is actually to secure and protect the items of the decedent until the rightful person can claim them. Now, rightful meaning legal biological family, next of kin, not girlfriend, not boyfriend, they are not. Now, or a will. A will that's a valid will then pick who that rightful person is. I have to figure out who that person is and get in touch with them. And then say, here's your stuff, it's secured, it's been locked up, we don't empty the houses. That comes down the road. If court orders say, get a house emptied. A lot of it is, like I said, the rumor mill. And trying to stop that is just answering questions, being honest.
It is truly unfortunate that so many people hear rumors and they go on that instead of asking for factual information. And that's why Ginger is here tonight, to give you factual information about exactly what the Office of Public Administrator is all about. One of the things that she said, if somebody passes away and she has to secure their property, then she follows the law from that point on. And I have to say, from the time she's taken office, You talk about the negativity has died down, way down, to almost nothing. Now, there are going to still be some things that people are going to talk about, but when they talk about it, ask them what time frame they're talking about. And I'll guarantee, almost, it's before Ginger took over. So that's something we have to talk about. This woman has been, for me, when I look at that office, I look at somebody that I have confidence in. I trust completely. So I'm asking you to do the same thing.
It's a learning process. I had never done this before. I volunteered as a deputy, and then I'm thrown into it. So I had to learn along the way, okay, that doesn't work that way. What's the easier way to do it? The biggest thing is, who is your person? If you've passed, you can't tell us. How do we know? Oh, well, they have my copy, my trust, but how do we know who that is and how to find them? It's great that they have a copy, or mine's in my safe deposit box. And how are we gonna know that? That's why I started these. The things that we've learned through doing this over and over, oh, I wish we had this information right then and there. So that's when these cards, which I think he's gonna put one up, but you can print them on the internet, off the website as well. But the things that we need to know right then and there when you've passed. Do you have a will, trust, or a funeral plan? What if you have prepaid funeral home A, but funeral home B is the one on rotation right now? Well, now the wrong funeral home is going to pick you up, which is going to incur another bill to your family, which you've already paid for with a different funeral home. So tell us who that is. We have two that are local. Just, do you have a particular one? Yep. So we know who it is. My next of kin executor is. So again, it doesn't necessarily my family is next of kin or executor. You could have a will that says you're the executor and you're doing everything on behalf of the child that's going to get everything. Mm-hmm. You are the one we need to contact.
Right.
Because you are the named person that person wants us to contact. Their phone number is, their address is. This is a huge one. We want the address. Phone number, if we absolutely have no other option but an address, is what's preferred.
Current address. Current
address. So if you have to change these, that's where you can print them, change them, mark on it, whatever you need to do. My pets can be left with. We'll have to discuss that one. That's a big one. But the main reason for the address is we don't want to notify over the phone. Imagine if the person that we're going to notify is driving down the highway and the news is such a shock, they wreck. They have a medical complication. They've now injured other people in an accident. Yep. Versus going to the house and telling them in person. Even if they're not home, they're going to find ways. They're going to keep going back. The other thing to understand is we've had a lot of times where we send out a notice to the sheriff's department where that person lives.
Okay.
We let them know you need to go notify X person that this person passed. Here's the sheriff's department. Now we're at their liberty of when they're going to do it. So a lot of times they may get a phone call from a friend or a neighbor that didn't let us know that they have no other contact and we don't know what's going on. Now they're freaking out. Why didn't you notify me? Well, we told your sheriff's department, but we can't control that sheriff's department to do their job.
Absolutely. Okay.
So that's one of the complaints I get a lot is how come I wasn't notified sooner? Nye County told your sheriff's department right away. So if they're upset, they need to contact their own sheriff's office, make sure that was done correctly. As far as the pets, it's a big one. This happens all the time. The animal is already traumatized. They don't know what is going on, but their human is not with them. They're not responding. There's all these strangers in the house because you have police department, funeral home, public administrator, whoever may have found them, a neighbor, a friend, animal control. There's a lot going on and that animal is very terrified. So friends and neighbors, well, oh, they want to help. They know the doggy, they want to help. I'll keep them until the family gets here. We can't. It's not that we don't trust that person or we don't want to, but if you didn't put down that they could, we can't get in trouble because we let Susie take your dog until your family gets here. Your family gets here and Susie decides she don't want to give the dog up. Now there's a big old civil lawsuit going on over the custody of a dog that the Nye County Public Administrator and Sheriff's Department Animal Control allowed someone to take a hold of. So, but if this little form says my pet can stay with, this is your stating that it's okay.
I want to emphasize, and Ginger has said it so well, but this is the responsibility. It says in the event of my death. Mm-hmm. You are the one who tells her office exactly what you want. They can't guess. After you're gone, they can't read your mind. If you have this form And I advise everyone that hears this program to get a copy of this form. Like she said, you can print it from the website, or and have it. Or you can stop by our office and get as many copies as you want. But have that and have it handy. Now she's going to tell you where to place that so she can find it. But the main thing is you've got to fill out the information and make sure it's current. Because if something happens to you, they're going to look for this form. They're not going to go through desk drawers looking for this or that. They need to be able to have this form right away. And there are going to be people in your house, if you pass away, people in your house that they're trying to save your life, but once you're gone, this is what takes over. Who do they contact? Who do they let know that all of these things have happened to you? So Ginger, where should they have this so you can find it?
So the first places we look is the fridge, which everybody knows about the fridge. The other place is on the back of your front door.
Oh,
so say if you have family and friends, whatever you do, gatherings, get-togethers, and you don't want to have this bright out in the open on your fridge, put it on the back of the front door. Because as you open the door and guests come in, they're not going to see the back. If your door is open while people are coming in and out, it's up against the wall. Then it's not there. But if somebody's getting ready to leave, usually you're going to walk them out. They may see it, but then they're gone. They're not going to sit there and read it. Paramedics very quickly can just look at the back of the door and move on to, oh, we have this person. The same with the DNR. So back door. I also say put one in your car.
Oh, no,
put one in your wallet.
That's something I hadn't thought about. All
What
the
if you're in a
different
car
locations.
accident?
But we're going to be talking about these in the next session because this is so crucial. We have so many people, something happens, and our officials don't know what to do because you haven't filled out a form. Come back and see us in the next session. Welcome back. We were just talking to you about the event of my death and what happens. And one of the things that Ginger and I have talked about is the fact the most important part is filling out that card to make sure that she has the information she needs to take care of you after you're gone, and to take care of your family and take care of any of your possessions or anything else that you want to move on to your families. So please, and we're going to keep on saying it, please get a card, fill it out, make sure it's signed, and she'll talk about that some more as well. So Ginger, tell us more about this card and why it's so important.
So I've learned after doing this job since 2016, the information we need right then and there. So whether you've passed in a car accident, you're in the hospital, you're visiting a friend, you're in your home, whatever reason, we need to know this information right away. So rather than search a house, which we can't really search unless it's bird's eye view of something out in the open, we were looking at Christmas cards. Okay, there's an address label, but who is that person? We don't know. Maybe some ex-wife got cards sent to you and that's not who you were supposed to contact. So this is the information we started coming up with. And you can print these on the computer, on the website for the public administrator. The one on the website, they're still trying to update. In fact, I think at the bottom it still says Stumney. It might say, yeah, it does, because I got married and changed my name. But sign it. You can still use it. My name on it or not, you can cut that part off if you want. Have it. I would rather you have it, even if it's incorrect with my name, not the updated version, but the information that's on it is what we need. And then signing it is something that's just happened because one of them came into question. Well, how do we know he filled that out? Okay, so again, learning as I go. I'm human. I don't know all of this. I've been doing the best I can, but somebody mentioned that and I went, that's a great thing, so sign it and date it. Then if you do a new one, you're gonna have a new date. That also helps us. Well, that one's the old one, this is the new one. Because in the end, how do I get your person? Trust me, I don't wanna go through your stuff. I don't wanna have to do that. Your loved ones you have chosen to do that is who needs to do that. But I don't know who they are. So how can you help me know who they are? And that's what these are for.
So next of kin is the most important.
Yes.
But all the information on there, just the fact that you have a will, a trust, or a funeral plan, they need to know that.
Yeah.
As Ginger said earlier, you could end up going to the wrong place, and then the family is going to be left with that cost. So do yourself a favor, do them a favor by providing this information and making sure that it's available. That's the key.
So I said the pets.
The pets, that's a biggie.
Yeah.
Now, I know we're going to spend some time talking about the pets because people love their little furry animals.
Fur babies.
And you do everything you can while you're alive to take care of them. If you're gone, what's going to happen to them? I'm going to let Ginger tell you some of the horror stories of things that have occurred and why we put so much emphasis on letting her know who you want to take care of your pets.
Well, a lot of it too is your animal is part of your family. Yes. And just like a small child, even a spouse, a sibling, whatever it may be, they're traumatized. There's all these people, there's strangers, there's all kinds of things happening. And the doggy or the kitty, they don't know. We've even had lizards, snakes, fish. Every animal's a little bit different situation. Snakes are, yeah, that's a no-no for me. I'm gonna stay away from that steak.
Okay.
Big snakes. So we need to make sure to comfort that animal. So people panic. Oh, they go to the shelter. They imagine what you imagine a shelter. It's a little bit different. It's in secure custody. There's a difference. So we try to make sure to grab the doggy's blanket, the doggy's bed, their food, any of their toys, things of theirs that has that smell. And then they go into a secured area. They are checked out by a vet to make sure that they're okay. They're maintained, take care of them, get their food. So you don't have digestive issues. They're already gonna be upset. So the biggest thing is finding that next of kin or that person, or you put on here who can have your pet for safekeeping, not giving them away. That would be in a will or something. Who can keep my pet when I've gone? Who do we call to take the pet? Then the dog doesn't even have to go to the shelter. They probably know the person you're gonna call. More than likely, the person that you would put on there is probably a neighbor, somebody that's close to you. So you can put this person, my pets can be left with. It doesn't say transferred to, given to, turned over to. My pets can be left with this person. That may not be your next of kin, and you may not want them to having access to your home, but at least my pets can stay with.
Yes.
That's less traumatic to the pet. And then again, the rest of the information on here, we're gonna get a hold of your next of kin family member right away. And hopefully everybody hopes that when the time comes that they're ready for it and everything's completely ready. But this is paper. You can print it on paper because this should also be, what if you don't die at home? In your car? In your wallet?
Oh.
Little times, what if you're traveling?
I hadn't thought about
these crazy
all those
drivers?
Things. Yes.
What if you're traveling? This is who it is. The difference between this and an emergency, because that's the other thing we get, well, we have a case of emergency. Emergency constitutes you're still alive. Emergency contact can be your neighbor that's not related. It can be your friend. It can be emergency contact, lives out of state or whatever. But when you're deceased, it changes from next of kin, from power of attorney, which voids when die, friend, emergency contact, to next of kin or legal representative.
Now, Ginger, I'm going to give a story we haven't discussed. It's something that happened to me while I was on active duty. A dear friend of mine, we were talking about his ex-wife, and he was talking about how much hatred he had for his ex-wife. And we laughed about it, we joked about it. The next day, in the office, he passed away. In his records, his ex-wife was listed as the next of kin. I had to work with her since I was the officer in charge of all of his final everything. And all of his money, everything else went to her, the person that he had just said that he despised. And there was nothing we could do about it. Had he changed his records, had he changed the information, all those things could have been avoided. And that's what Ginger is asking you to do. Make sure that they don't get into a situation that is something that you would not have wanted to happen. And they want to do everything that you want. And they want to follow your wishes. But the only way they can do that is if they know what they are.
Well, and just to clarify, this part for the public administrator's job on the notification of a death is different than through the court process.
Yes.
So I do handle cases through the court process when the family can't, won't, or they do it wrong. The Attorney General's office has set me on cases because there's some stuff going on that's not to be, because there's serious legal ramifications if you don't do this correctly. So that part is where a judge gets to decide who is the right person, who gets what. That is different from just the moment of death. So there's two parts of my job. There's the beginning phase, and the goal is find your family Here you go, I'm out. If you have any questions, you need to know where's a good house cleaner, who's a yard guy, I will give them that information. But the other side of the probate, I don't handle every case that I've been to on the deaths. I've probably, already this year, I can tell you we're already at 1,000 deaths.
Wow.
Because it's Nye County. So that covers hospice and even people that are not residents here. 95, that's Nye County.
Well,
and
true.
All those accidents of those deaths, we still have to, the car's gonna get towed. Their wallet, their phone, the things that the family are gonna want right away, we have to secure those things and then get them to the family.
And I think people forget too that Nye County is the third largest county in the country.
Yes, it is huge.
It's huge. Oh, hadn't thought about that either.
We had one the other day,
I'm learning a lot. I hope you are too.
Well, then people think Nye County is Pahrump, Tonopah, Gold, or some people think Goldfield, which is not. It's actually, that's Esmeralda. Okay. Beatty, they think that's it. Mm-hmm. Well, there's the whole other side. I had one the other day in Sunnyside.
Wow.
So there's different things in place, and we work with different agencies. Supposed to tend to a death when the sheriff's office calls within 30 minutes. Tonopah, not going to make it. It's not going to make it. Beatty, not going to make it. So I have deputies in Tonopah that will cover Tonopah and Round Mountain.
Okay.
I have deputies in Beatty that will cover Beatty and Amargosa, and then I can also cover Amargosa. All of that.
And what's that time frame again?
They would like me to appear within 30 minutes.
Okay.
Because you can pretty much in Pahrump get clear across town within 30 minutes. Hopefully. You could get behind a bus. You could get behind a tractor. There's things that happen, but we do the best that we can. The other thing too is that I tend to forget, and people tend to forget too, they come at me with, well, so my mother had this. So I'm not the first one to find them. I don't drive around and go, oh, I think there's somebody that's passed right here. So somebody else has found you. Then they call the police. Then the police are there and detectives and funeral homes, and then when they realize that there's no local family, we have nobody to come secure this, then they call me. So there's been a lot of people already involved before I even get there.
Okay.
So a lot of times it's, I can only go by what I've been responsible for from that moment. So when we arrive, it's pictures, taking pictures of everything the way that it is. If it's something that's pretty gross, we try to clean it up first, but at the same time I can't touch anything that's not out in the open, because if the family wants to know, well, what was it like when you got here? Well, here's what it was like when I got here. But as far as the sheriff's department or your friend or neighbor or whoever was there beforehand, you're gonna have to ask them. I can only be responsible for what I was responsible for from the moment I got there. I've had a lot of times, there's a lot of families that are feeling very remorseful that they weren't in touch, that they weren't a part of their life. They haven't seen them in 20, 30 years. They're still the legal next of kin because nobody put down anybody else. Yep. So even when the next of kin legally happens to be a child that you've had nothing to do with for 40 years and you don't want to and you didn't want to, you didn't put it down, I have to go by next legal kin, which would be a child. So then the child will show up and, well, where's my mother's ring? There was no ring. Well, she always had it. She would have never gotten rid of it. All I can show you, and then the sheriff's department requests records. You'll see pictures of the body and there's no ring. And if there's no ring out in the open, how do you know in the last 40 years? Did she sell it? Did she give it away? I don't know. But those are the accusations that I get. And I just have to do the best I can to say, no, that's not my job, is to secure it from the next of kin. But maybe that person wanted their best friend that they've been friends with that lives next door for 40 years. Maybe that's who they wanted. Everybody said they did. Wasn't on paper.
So one of the things I think everybody should do is make sure your neighbors know your routine, and can at least, if something happens to you, they can notify the authorities pretty quickly before anything else happens. Otherwise, Ginger can only do what she can do, but you can help her by making sure she can find the next of kin. That's all we have for tonight.
Okay, we'll have to come back another time.
Another time, and then you can come back and join us. Thank you. Welcome back. We're so glad to have you back with us. Now I have another guest. We're going to have two more guests for the next two sessions, but I have Dolores Joyner, and Dolores is a member of the Southern Nye County Federation of the Blind. Many people say, well, what about the blind? And what about any other disabilities? Well, I haven't had anybody like that on the show in the past. But in talking to Dolores and also talking to Susan, I'm going to just say that I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about exactly where they are, what they can do, and how they're impacted by everything in our community. So I wanted to go ahead and let Dolores tell you something about this, the support and everything else about the blind, how they got organized, where she's from, and what's happened to her, and why she's even a part of this organization. So, Dolores, if you would, tell the audience who you are, where you came from, and how you became a director of the Southern Nye County Federation of the Blind.
Okay. First, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Walker, for inviting us to your show to explain our purpose here in Pahrump. I was told at the age of 40 that I would wind up blind, and so I've kind of been preparing for it the last 40-something years. However, I'm learning there are different processes of being blind. I had a problem with a car accident many years ago, and it affected my nerve. And the optical nerve is a nerve that cannot be repaired. So over a time frame, you start to lose your vision. I've lost most of my central vision. I have a little peripheral vision left, and eventually I will lose that also. What I learned about being blind, I actually learned when I moved to Pahrump, because I had never heard of a blind organization when I lived in California. But when I moved here, I was introduced to a blind organization. At that time, it was called Nevada Council of the Blind. But since then, because being in Pahrump and meeting so many people who live here in Pahrump, who also are in the process of losing their vision or have lost their vision, we wanted to bring something here to Pahrump to service the people who were blind. And so we were able to establish with the National Federation of the Blind a chapter here in Pahrump, which we call the Southern Nye County Federation of the Blind. And our purpose is to service the people in Nye County, in Southern Nye County, who have issues with loss of sight. And so far we have been doing absolutely great with the sponsors, the corporation, and we are putting on workshops. We will be having another workshop September the 11th at the Pahrump Nugget. We will be bringing vendors in from all over Vegas with different equipment, technology, and things that will assist us to enhance our living so that we can be able to function. Our goal is that we will be able to take care of ourselves as much as possible, and that we will be able to learn how to use all these new technologies that they have invented. I mean, they have IA canes. I even saw a seeing eye dog that is a robot. So there's so much technology out there now to assist the people who have lost their vision or are in the process of losing their vision. And what we want to do as an organization is to introduce all that technology to the citizens here in the Southern Nye County.
Let me ask this question. In starting your organization, about how many people would you consider are candidates for your organization in Nye County?
In Nye County, we are allowed to have as many members as we want. We have to always make sure we have 1% more people who are either visually impaired, legally blind, or blind, so that the organization is always controlled by the visually impaired and the blind, because it is the Federation of the Blind. So that's our only rules.
How do you describe when you say visually impaired, partially blind? Is there a distinction to determine that?
Yes, there is a number. You have to be, I think it's 20/60, and anything 20/60 or higher, that means you would be visually impaired.
Okay.
2,000 would be blind.
Okay.
I mean, not 2,000, 200 would be blind, you know, if your vision is that low. So,
so there's a
be
lot of people that qualify for your organization.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, and then you have a lot of people, Dr. Waters, who are blind in one eye. You know, they have good vision in the other eye, but they're blind in one eye. And you would be eligible to be a member of the organization.
And I don't think they know that.
No, because a lot of people, when you say, there's a stigma I'm finding with being blind. A lot of people don't like to be considered blind. And so if you tell them about the organization, they say, I'm not blind, you know. Because
okay.
But we encourage those who have sight, those who don't have sight. We need both to make this organization a success, you know, because there are some things that we really do need a sighted person to be a part of the organization.
Well, now, if somebody wanted to join your organization, what would they do? What would they need to do?
They would just need to contact us. You can contact me, Dolores Joyner, at the 775-513-0954. And we only ask you to fill out a membership application. No specific requirements. We don't even ask to see proof that you are having any type of eye problem. Okay. We'll ask you, are you blind? But that's just it. So we don't go to that degree where you have to come in and show us proof of anything.
Okay. Okay.
You can be a volunteer. You can be a sponsor. You can come in many ways. We're looking for the young children. If you know any children that are having problems with their vision, we're looking for them. We have scholarships. There's schools, classes that they can take and things like that. We're raising funds so that we can help them go to summer camps. There's special camps that are for the young who have lost their vision or in the process of losing their vision. So there's many, many resources out there, and that's what we're trying to bring into Pahrump. The different types of resources that will enable them to enhance their way of living. We are going to be having another fundraiser at the Artesian Cellar and the first Friday of November. We're going to be having a workshop at the Nugget, September the 11th from 10 to 2. We are going to be having a White Cane Day, September the 19th from 10 to 2. So we're trying to get out there in the community because it's really hard getting with people who have lost their sight because they tend not to want to come out. They tend to want to stay home. We're working on transportation with the Senior Center where they will provide transportation for those who would like to come to different events or different workshops or different functions. You get in touch with the Senior Center and we're arranging the way that they can pick people up and get them to different things that we like them.
That is great information. And just the fact that those that are visually impaired, and I won't say blind, but just visually impaired, if they start to stay home, they're moving away from all of their friends.
Exactly.
And they need to get back into the community.
Exactly.
And you're helping them to do that.
Exactly. Because depression sets in when you don't mix and mingle. Yeah. And we're trying to eliminate that feeling of being alone and being isolated from other people. We want you to be able to mix and mingle and live a normal and happy and adjusted life.
And we want to encourage the community to come out because we're talking about supporting the visually impaired or blind in our community. And when you talk to Dolores and you contact her and her organization, she can let you know how you can participate in this and show that support for all the things that she's already discussed.
Yeah. And we're pleased looking forward to September the 11th when we bring out different resources to come out. We'll have the lending library for the blind. They will come out and bring some equipment so that you can see what's available. You don't have to buy it. It's a lending library. And then we will also have the scene, the reading, the talking books. If you like to read, we'll have the people from Talking Books. We're trying to get in touch with the Seeing Eye Dog organization, if they will come out and explain how that works and if you're eligible to get a dog. And there's just a lot of stuff out there, and we're trying to find everything that will make your life a better life.
Now, when you're looking for volunteers as well to help you, what can these volunteers do?
Well, you can volunteer, like sometime we have doctor appointments that run a little later than the transportation runs, or just somebody to come and sit and talk with you, companionship, because like I say, you have a lot of people who are, losing their vision or have lost their vision, who live by themselves. And they don't get out because they're afraid to get out by themselves. Okay. Or just go to the grocery store with you. If you've never been in a situation where you have to let somebody do everything, and then all of a sudden you're not able to do it, it's really depressing.
I can only imagine that. And I'm sure everybody watching the program this evening, they're looking at this as well. Here's somebody that is legally blind, that is doing something for our community in helping others that are visually impaired. So anything you can do to volunteer to help, we're asking that you contact Dolores, contact her organization so that you can be a part of this to help other people get back into our community and be with their friends. Dolores, anything in closing you'd like to say?
I'd just like to thank the community for, they have shown us nothing but love since we have started this organization back in 2022.
Hey, that's it. We want you to come back and join us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back for our final session. We're still talking about the Federation of the Blind, and now I'm going to say Navy veteran Susan Moore. She's also a director, and she's got a lot more information. She's going to give you from a different slant from what you heard from Dolores Joyner. The same organizations, and they're still talking about it, but we needed another emphasis. And so, Susan, I'm so glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
And I think this information is invaluable, and so many people need to hear about it. But I also want to mention, I've listened to Susan over the years, and Susan is a person that used to train Navy and Marine pilots in the Navy. So I want you to see, this woman is awesome, and now she's doing something for the blind. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to her and let her tell you how she got involved in this and why she got involved and what's going on with the Federation of the Blind.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's a great introduction. One of the things, how I got involved with the National Federation of the Blind and or getting our chapter formed is about 12 years ago, all of a sudden, I couldn't see. It was really kind of weird because I went to the doctor. There was something going on with my left eye initially, and I said, well, gee, I don't know what's wrong. Went to the doctor, and he said, okay, we'll do an eye test. And he threw this thing on, machine on for me and said, with my right eye, he said, read whatever. I said, there's nothing there. And he goes, what do you mean there's nothing there? I said, I don't see anything. It's black. It's dark. Oh, okay, well, let's try the left eye. And then I read whatever he wanted me to read. So he said, you need to go to a specialist. I said, okay, what kind of specialist? And he said, it looks like your retina has detached. So I said, okay, I want to go now. The surgery was scheduled, and they tried twice. And the first time, it didn't work because the retina hole was too big, too large. And so they tried again, and it got smaller, but it still didn't work. And I had injured it years ago when I was in the Navy, doing something stupid, which, as you all know, we do stupid things. And when I damaged it, I ran to the emergency room. Well, when I got there, they said, oh, well, you know, we don't have a doctor on call for eye doctor on call, so you'll have to make an appointment. Well, 2 months later, I made the appointment, and he said, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. By telling me that, it didn't mean anything, like, sorry, nothing's going to happen. And I went on with my life doing all the things that I wanted to do and helping others. But like I said, 12 years ago, I went blind instantaneously. It was just gone, and that was it. So after I went through 2 surgeries, because they thought maybe they could still save it, they gave up and said the hole was too large and they couldn't sew it up. So I said, well, I better do something because I'm going to go crazy. So started looking around. Dolores and I both were looking around for a place to find help. And initially I got involved with ACB, American Council for the Blind, but they weren't really doing much, sitting around doing nothing. And then we found the National Federation of the Blind, found out we could have a chapter, and here we are. And it was just exciting that I could get help because I didn't know. One of the things they tried to explain to me is that their idea of blindness is just, well, I'm going to read it to you. There are several ways to define blindness. Many people regard blindness as the inability to see at all, or, at best, to discern light from darkness. The National Federation of the Blind takes a much broader view. We encourage people to consider themselves as blind if their sight is bad enough, even with corrective lenses, that they must use alternative methods to engage in any activity that people with normal vision would do using their eyes. Well, since I lost the vision in my right eye, I'm blind. And I have no depth perception. My life is, there's no stairs. We don't see them. So I had to get a cane. The cane that I have was given to me by the National Federation of the Blind. You can go online. They tell you how to measure yourself because everybody's different. They make them for the kids, and they make them for adults, and they'll send it to you.
Wow.
It is really neat, no cost. So I got one, and wow, I found all kinds of walls and things that I didn't want to run into, and rocks and stuff like that. And I thought, well, I'd like to really be involved in this more. And so once we got the chapter going and I found out all the opportunities that are out there, I got on what we call the outreach program. I wanted to go out and talk to everybody. I went to Amargosa, I went to Beatty, and this month I'm going to go up to Tonopah. But in Amargosa and Beatty, they have Beatty days and Amargosa days. I literally set up a table and answered questions and put out stuff. But I found that people don't know what to do with people that are blind, because I had this neat little tablecloth that says National Federation of the Blind, and they didn't want to talk to me. So I started looking at these people, looking at the material, and then stepping back and going, okay, and they went to another table. And I said, hello. Oh, she talks. You can see us. and that's what I mean about vision. Because I don't have any vision in my right eye, I have vision in my left eye. Not a lot, but I'm hoping I can hang on to it for the rest of my life. But if I don't, well, it's just one of those things. But we get out there and we talk and we tell people, hey, we're here to help you. The national, or the state and local people have things like this. They call themselves, and we're going to do this on September 11th, because September 11th at the Nugget. DETR is a group called Nevada Department of Employment, Training, and Rehabilitation. Will come out and talk to people who are blind and help them make some adjustments if they want to go back to work and things like that. The other one that I want to bring up, there's more out there, but these are the 2 that I think are great. It's called Technical Assistance, Life Skills Training, Peer Support, Advocacies, Information, and Referrals Transition. They're going to come out too. They're going to help us. This is a thing they give out, and it helps. You put it on a piece of paper when they say sign here, sign here. You put this on the piece of paper, line up where they say sign, and write your name. And you don't have to try to figure out where it is you're supposed to sign. I think that's a real good tool. Now, the National Federation of the Blind, they got tons of stuff. How we fit into all this is that there are 3 chapters in Clark County, 1 in Washoe County, and, not Clark County, in Nevada we have 3 chapters. 1 in Clark County, 1 in Washoe County, and 1 in Nye County. And then we have the State of Nevada affiliate. I'm also on that board, who oversees the chapters. And finally, we have the National Federation of the Blind, who oversees all states. Now, I found out recently that foreign countries can come to our meetings, come to our national events, but they can't be members. They have to be living in the United States. So that's something, but they do come and we do exchange information with them. If you went online, and a lot of people are into that nowadays, not for the blind people, that's really tough. If you go online, it's called National Federation of the Blind, or nfb.org. You can find a lot of information. It's unbelievable how much. But we don't make it easy for sighted people any more than it is for blind people. They put tabs up on top when you get in there, and so you have to know where you want to go. They have programs and services, and they have things like independent market. Hey, if you're in need for something to help you navigate the world in blindness, they've got it. You can have a telephone number, they'll help you. Free cane. A free cane program is in programs and services. You go in there, follow the information, measure the person that needs it, whether it's a child or an adult, and put your name down and they'll send it to you. We have another thing that I think is really, really, really cool. It's called the Newsline. Now what this is, it is a great program. It's offered everywhere. And it's offered to people who are blind, visually impaired, or low vision. But it's also offered to people like us older people that shake and can't turn a page. So they got this book and they can't open it and they can't look at it. And if they can read it, it's difficult for them to do that. So it's a program for that. There's over 500 publications, national and local. They'll have somebody read it to you. A newspaper, for breaking news, local news, magazines, it's your choice. International newspapers, emergency weather alerts, thousands of job listings, retail ads, TV listings, even in Spanish. All you have to do is sign up for it. You don't have to be a member of anything, okay? The state of Nevada pays for this program to be open to anybody. And they pay over $30,000 a year for that.
Wow. Okay.
So use it. Use it. Please use it. Okay? That's another good thing. They have scholarships and awards that they give out to the kids and to adults that need to go on to college, because we find the blind community, they're not able to do the things that they want to do without just a high school education, if they all get an education. Some kids get a resource diploma. A resource diploma means they have to go back and do more schooling because maybe they didn't learn Braille, and because they didn't learn it, they don't have textbooks with it, and therefore it makes it difficult for them to read and to write. So they have to go back and learn something to go on. But they can go on to college even without Braille, but it is difficult. So it's one of those things we would like to do, or like to get going in the community, because we've talked to a lot of people. Would they like a course in Braille? A lot of people say, oh, it's too hard, and then they look at the card and they say, it's really, really, really hard. But it's a matter of your fingers. If you have a good feel with your fingers, you can go across and feel what's there. And if you have a good teacher, we have somebody in Las Vegas who grew up here in Pahrump, went to Pahrump Valley High School, learned Braille, and went on to college, and she's a therapist now.
Wow.
And
Okay.
she's phenomenal, and she wants to teach this for us. But we have to figure out the best way to do this, because as she has said, she doesn't want any more than 12 students at a time, and that could be difficult in the community. So she wants me and another person to get better, to learn Braille on our behalf, because we may need it down the way, and help her teach so that we could have maybe 3 instead of 1. And that makes it a whole lot easier. Absolutely.
This program, it just sounds like something we definitely need, and it's something that Susan and her organization is bringing. So I'm going to ask that you please, please contact Susan or Dolores and say, look, I'm interested in getting involved with exactly what you guys are doing. And I want to thank Susan for being here this evening. Thank you, and that's all we have for tonight.
Thank you. Did I cover enough?